Xin chào. Hello. Okay, so we're going to get right into it, right out of the gate. We were at 20 cases last time I did a corona update here. We're now at 39. It's mainly in the northern province. It's mainly in the Hanoi area, those northern provinces, which you would think come from China, but it's all mainly come from the London super spreader, which we've now confirmed she's a super spreader, and another lady that was in New York and then came back through. So it's a mandatory health declaration form for all countries now. Almost all the new cases are linked to the Vietnam woman from Hanoi that came from London, that went to the fashion week and that went and had Salt Bay food and kissed Salt Bay on the cheek when she was most likely infected. She is a super spreader. There's 19 infected from her alone, pretty much. Patient 34 though, which was yesterday, spread the 3 others. She flew from Ho Chi Minh City to New York City on February 22nd, and then transitioning on her flight back at Incheon for 3 hours. So she had a 3-hour layover in Seoul. February 29th, flew to DC, then transfer in Doha, Qatar, landed in Tan Son Nhat Airport in Ho Chi Minh City on March 2nd, and then she took a car home to the resort town of Pham Thiet in Binh Thuan. She infected the 36th, which was a 64-year-old assistant of hers, the 37th, which was a 37-year-old employee, and the 38th patient, her 28-year-old daughter-in-law. So now what Vietnam's doing is they're disinfecting every flight. They're giving you a mask on every flight that is their airlines. They're checking temperatures on all passengers from Europe before even entering into the plane at Europe, which is very proactive. That's what we want to see. What this is showing now, and what we're getting just from here in other cases, is they were really saying age was the big thing. It's clearly showing age isn't mattering anymore. It's probably faked China stats that they used to not scare the people, because a lot of people are, in their 20s to 30s in China. So kids don't seem to get sick, but the problem with kids is say they're starting to find that the kids most likely are very infectious. They get the disease, they don't show any symptoms, but then they go home to mom and dad, they hug mom and dad, they're not as clean as people our age. They might hug grandma, and then they've given grandma the disease, and that can just not be a good thing. That's part of the reason why I wouldn't travel either, is I would be scared to give it to someone else. Like, even if I was healthy and I knew nothing bad happened to me, imagine how bad you would feel giving it to your grandma or your mom and dad, and then they get really ill from the thing, and heavens forbid somebody dies. I mean, that would be terrible. The amount of guilt that this super spreader girl that kind of faked her stuff and purposely laid over in London here in Vietnam, she's probably regretting that every second of the day, and it's probably going to be with her for a lifetime. I don't care how rich she is. For people with flight tickets, for people with F1 tickets, it got leaked today that it will get delayed, which is not a bad idea at all. And I think it would not have got delayed. The F1 would have went through if the super spreader wouldn't have came through. She most definitely did a lot of damage to Vietnam and to travel and all that stuff. If you want to take a look at my Ben Thon video I posted right before this, you can see Ben Thon Market was like a ghost city. Prices were cheaper, the whole entire thing. Vietnam's taken a very proactive choice to this. There's the 39th case is a man that's only 29 years old, and he's a Hanoian tour guide. So, yeah. They're also looking for a guy here that is looking for an Englishman in the same Ho Chi Minh City flight carryover from the super spreader. 4 days now they've been looking for him. So, the big thing we got to take away from this is, it's like Peak Prosperity says, it goes case, cluster, then boom. That's going to be the title of this video too, is that's what happened. You get a case, then you get a large cluster, and then it's a boom. You go from a few hundred to maybe 50 to 100, and then you go to hundreds, and then you go to thousands. I mean, Italy is showing this right now. The entire country of Italy is locked down now. I mean, talk about I mean, it's showing you right there that this isn't the flu. This isn't anything else. It's got a death rate of around 3%. That's right as the same kind of death rate that came out of the Spanish flu. So I mean, this is serious, guys. I wouldn't want to travel right now. I would cancel all my plans. I would just stay where I'm at. I'd prepare for this thing. I'd make sure I was healthy. I was clean. I wouldn't be going out much. That's just me, though. You can do whatever you want. You can't take my advice on this stuff. You can just be an educated person. You can research it on your own. It seems that we're right now in the midst of a case cluster boom here in Vietnam. Like I've continued to say, I used to not think at first. I used to think maybe Vietnam was faking the numbers and stuff, but now I think it's really all just spot on. I think they report it as it is. This stuff comes out immediately in the news. The USA is at 1,016 cases. They're having a case cluster boom in Seattle right now, and they're also having a case cluster boom in New York. So I mean, it's a matter of time before there's a case cluster boom in Los Angeles, a case cluster boom in Chicago, and all the major cities, and they'll just spread outward because there's no way that you can track down that many people. So unless they get into like the way in which China, Vietnam, and all these countries that are really proactive are about it, you're going to see mass spread in the name of the economy, which I understand, but at the same point, I don't. School will definitely get delayed here more in Vietnam from top to bottom. I'm going to guess probably till April 1st, and then they'll probably even push it from April 1st then. So, like I said, the F1 race is definitely going to get postponed or delayed. Coachella, if you're going to Coachella, I almost guarantee you it'll get postponed to like October or some crazy date. Nowhere near the time that it's going to be. All mass gatherings, I'm going to guess worldwide, are going to get canceled, which is a good way to proactively block a lot of people from getting this thing. Old people shouldn't be going out anymore, as I've said multiple times. If you're over 60 years old, you should stay home. If you have meds and stuff, stock up on your meds. In most countries besides America, you can do that. But even for America, if grandma or auntie needs her meds, have one of you guys go run and get them for her. She doesn't need to be going out and doing that stuff anymore. Or he. What else do I got for us? Iran added 958 in one day today. So, and Germany's coming rounding up right behind. Germany will be in the 2,000, 3,000 club in a day or two, is my guess. It seems to be all the governments that weren't really proactive at first are really suffering the consequences now, is from what I'm seeing. China's not reporting much numbers anymore. China's saying that they're closing their hospitals, that it's pretty much under control. They're going to probably try to spin a narrative that this came from Italy, America, or Iran, because that's just how the CCP works. And the way I know how the CCP works is that I've dealt with it firsthand on multiple occasions. I mean, I've gone to Hong Kong, I've protested with the people, I've interviewed dozens of people there. I've seen exactly how they do it with my own eyes, not reading it on the internet. I actually went and did it. So, I mean, I don't speak out of my ass on this stuff. That's the same why Serpentenza and ADV China are so serious about it and get so upset, because they probably saw it way more than I did. They lived there for 14 years, so I mean, and they're both married to Chinese women, so I mean, saying that they're anti-China is crazy, or like hate Chinese people. It's just a stupid route to take on that. I don't agree with everything they say, but for the most part, they're on point. What else do we got? Yeah, like we're looking for this England man in Ho Chi Minh City that came from the same flight that the super spreader was on. I just call her the super spreader now because that is really what she is. I think, like I said, America's in the midst of a case cluster boom in many of the major cities, so you guys just got to be prepared. Hopefully you got your stuff ahead of time. I mentioned in my earlier videos I'd probably just have a deep pantry and stock up on stuff. It doesn't hurt. Stuff that you would use anyways, so like what's the big deal of having extra of something you would use anyways? That's how I kind of look at it. I think that's all we got. Yeah, the F1 race, I would say right now, if you have F1 race plans, already plan to get everything changed. Hopefully you have flight insurance on it. They're going to reschedule a time for it, but I'm going to guess it's going to be months and months and months from now when they know that this thing's under control. It's breaking news that there's 39 cases. Only a few news places have reported the 39 case right now, and it's only on Pure Viet News. So I wasn't able to find that. Win-Win was, and then we confirmed it at a few other places. So I mean, you just probably aren't going to have the greatest time. Definitely, if you're going through any of the hotspot places, you're going to get quarantined here. The problem you're going to have if you travel here is, let's be real, is you could possibly get into a quarantine situation, no matter if the place is safe or not, because it can become unsafe as a matter of overnight. I imagine pretty quick America is going to become like a deemed hotspot, and anyone coming from America is even going to get quarantined here. So it's going to become a situation where you're almost going to always have a quarantine, almost no matter where you're coming from. That just doesn't sound fun to me. That's not something I would want to do. As far as, like I've said, if you can still stock up and do all that stuff and prepare a little bit, definitely prepare. Buy any medicines you need over the counter and stuff, so you don't have to worry about getting it if something does happen. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Wash your hands, of course. You know, there's so much conflicting information on the mask. I think you should have a mask on at all times. I don't see the purpose in not having a mask on. And the reason for this is, if you're sick, it's better to have the mask on, so then you're at least not spraying it to people. Imagine the guilt you would have if it's found out that you were sick and you didn't have a mask on and you infected a bunch of people, and then you would have to live with that choice for a really long time. So, I mean, is that something you want to do? That's up to you. To just think this is the common flu, though, and to think that you're going to just have a grand vacation in the eyes of all this, that is not going to happen. Not here in Vietnam, anyways. I mean, in Hanoi, they've closed half the stuff down. It's a ghost town there. In Ho Chi Minh, like you saw in Ben Thanh Market, yeah, we went out for, right next to the market, we went out for some beers after that. Had like a quarter of the people. So, I mean, it's just not going to be that kind of atmosphere you would normally get in Ho Chi Minh City. So, I'll report again if anything really changes. I have a sneaking feeling that this 39 will turn into like 100 within a couple days, and then 100 to 500, and then 500 to 1,000. Like I said, case, cluster, boom. So, don't panic. Don't be worried. Just prepare, be smart, wash your hands, do all the precautionary stuff, ingest a lot of information about this stuff if it's something you're really interested in, because you can't take one person's said advice, you can't take one YouTuber's said advice, you can't take one news channel said advice, you can't take one channel's said advice. You have to watch all this stuff and then kind of deduce what you want to deduce out of it, you know. And if you decide to travel, that's on you. I'm not going to tell you not to travel. If it was me, I wouldn't travel anywhere right now. So that's what I'll leave in the final statements. Stay healthy, stay safe. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Instagram. It's fatandbroke_. If you want to give it to the Patreon, give it to the Patreon. This isn't about trying to amp up money for myself on these videos. It's just trying to just make sure that you're safe and that it answers your questions when you're going to come to travel. So, and know the F1 race is almost 98% going to get rescheduled. All right, everybody. Peace.